You can start now. Miss Janice, can you unmute your mic? Thank you.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello, it's Nadia. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can start.
Okay, I'm gonna start. I wanted to know about the complications or challenges which are facing women to become entrepreneurs, especially here in most of women are just wanted to become entrepreneurs, but sometimes due to the environmental factors, some challenges, they fail to join in entrepreneurship. Also, the leadership matters. Confidence, how to gain confidence on women, how to become leaders.
Miss Meena, sorry, can you unmute your mic?
Yes.
Miss Meena, can you unmute your mic?
Did you hear me? Hello.
Okay. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. No. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I think you had quite a few questions, Janet. So I'll answer them one by one. Maybe you can mute from your side because I can hear a lot from your side, Janet.
Can you mute?
Yeah, maybe you can mute. Yeah, okay, better. Okay, so I will just address, just make sure you put it back on later on when you ask questions, because otherwise we won't hear you. Yeah, so I will just answer your questions because I think you asked me quite a few questions. First, I'll just repeat the questions. The first question you asked was, what are the challenges women face in terms of entrepreneurship? And then you also asked question on leadership, and then you also asked question on confidence. So these are all different, different questions. I'll answer them one by one. So the first one is entrepreneurship. I think it's a very, very good question. And the answer in terms of what are the challenges, I think you could write so many books on this topic because there are so many reasons and so many challenges that women have when it comes to entrepreneurship. First and foremost, I would say it is our conditioning in terms of the world, not just culture, because I know different cultures, we have different thoughts and beliefs that have been projected on women. But when it comes to even the world, women are not always seen as leaders. Women are seen as, so if women excel in a workplace, that's not the rule, that's an exception to the rule. And so women are generally, in terms of society, I believe, are not really groomed and are not encouraged and are not told from society, from parents, from culture. They're not really raised with the thinking, oh, how do we get this girl, let's say a baby's born in a family and it happens to be a woman, there isn't a thought in the mind of the parents or the community, oh, I can't wait until she becomes a successful CEO. It's never like that. It's usually, I can't wait until she gets married, and then when it comes to men, it's more like, oh, I can't wait until he becomes CEO. So it's just the expectation and the conditioning. And that's why women, when we want to become very successful, it comes down to us having to rely on our own willpower. And we may not necessarily have the same, since the expectation is not it's not the same as men have. We sometimes feel like we have to go against the grain, and sometimes we feel like we literally have to work on sheer willpower, and we have to be very deliberate to look for other friends and other peers who are like us. So myself, for example, I am a lawyer, I am an author, I am, I have 20 years of business development, sales, and marketing. I come from a very traditional family. My family, we are 8 siblings, 7 girls, 1 boy, and I'm the 4th. And I'm the only one who is highly educated. I'm the only one who decided that I was going to go against the grain and become financially independent. And after me, I have another sister who did that, but it's very uncommon. And for me to do that, I had to literally go against the grain, which means I had to make sure that in the event I faced objections, I didn't allow these objections to bother me. I wasn't too concerned about being judged for being very different. And of course, many times we human beings, we want to fit in. We always feel like no matter how different we are, no matter how many dreams we have, it might be different from other people, we feel like we want a sense of belonging. And many times throughout my childhood and adulthood, I never felt like a sense of belonging because the women around me didn't have those dreams. They just, when I was studying and going through law school, my friends were getting married. When I was becoming senior management, my friends having kids. So it's a very different expectation, it's a different mindset. So going back to your question, your first question, in terms of what are the challenges, I would say the challenges are that we are not necessarily celebrated, expected, supported to excel at being leaders. We are expected to get married. And so for us to want to become CEO or financially independent, we have to really rely on our own drive and willpower. I would say that's the main challenge when it comes to us wanting to become financially independent and becoming an entrepreneur. The second question you asked was about leadership. I think leadership for women is, again, very, very different. We are very nurturing. As women, we are very nurturing, and sometimes we can, in the words of some men, talk too much. Sometimes we can rely too much on our emotions, and so a lot of times it's seen in a very negative connotation. But the truth is, all of these qualities and traits have a lot of strength in them. So when we are naturally nurturers, and today's Mother's Day, and we as women, we have the natural ability to nurture, it's a very powerful ability for us to lead teams, especially when we have people who are younger than us and people who don't necessarily have the experience. We don't necessarily have to be like a boss. We can be a leader where we can actually groom them, we can teach them, we have the patience to be able to take them through. Second, if we talk too much, is a good thing, because by speaking we can communicate, we can identify the problem, we can help people to become better at what they do. And third, our emotions, it's very, very powerful, because when we as women, we have feminine energy and we have masculine energy. And when we take on leadership positions, a lot of times women feel we need to be more like men. So we need to be more like the alpha, and it's not true. We can really play with our feminine as well as our masculine energy. And when we as women are emotional, we can tap into our emotions. We can have the wisdom to be able to speak sometimes as a leader, sometimes as somebody who wants to nurture a team. We can use our own intuition, we can use our own instincts. And I think these are a lot of very powerful traits we have as women. And a lot of times we as women, we don't use these traits in our leadership position because we feel we're in the workplace, we want to be like men, and so we just shove it down, and I think this is a reminder that we as women, we need to let our light shine, and we need to be able to become ourselves when we lead. We don't need to be like other men. And the third question you asked was about confidence. This is very much related to the first question about, like I said, we as women, we're not expected to become people who are extremely, who need to become very successful. So for example, now I coach women and I coach women leaders, and a lot of my clients are very diverse. I have clients in the age of 20, and I have clients who are, in their 40s and 50s and already very successful. But one thing I find that is in common amongst a lot of these women is the lack of confidence. So, a 20-year-old is an employee and wants to set up her own business, but she lacks the confidence. And then when I'm dealing with people in their 40s or 50s, they're already at a certain level in their business and they feel they can't break through to the next level because they just feel like that level of success is probably all that they're worthy of. And a lot of it, again, goes back to conditioning. So it's about working on your own identity and asking yourself, who do I want to be? Not the version that society expects me to be, not the version that your husband expects you to be, but the version that you want to be given your vision. So that's a long answer to your question. Please don't forget to unmute yourself. Janice?
Yes, hello.
Yes. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, and I'm satisfied with your question, with the answers. I want to ask about these books you wrote. I've seen like women, you said women, women entrepreneurship in academic.
Oh, that's not a book. That's a course I run. I run a course. So I have a lot of courses. I have a course called Empowered Women Academy, where I teach. It's a 6-week program where I teach women my 3 pillars: confidence, clarity, and creation. And in fact, right now I'm in the process of launching a mastermind, which is a 12-month program for women. So I'm launching a 12-month program where women can join, and every month I help them with their coaching in terms of their business, in terms of their mindset, in terms of their energy, in terms of every aspect of their life. Because I think we as women, when we don't really have that level of support and that level of being able to get the coaching and advice of other women who are already at a certain level, I think that's very important for younger women.
Okay, also there's the problem about the issue about women who want to become leaders, but due to the circumstances of religion, especially other religions, they don't support women to become leaders. As you know, some other religion like Islamic. So what's your effort can you do in order to educate those people or to create awareness about them who want to become leaders, but they just fail, they just fear for their religion?
Yeah. Unfortunately, because I don't know enough about, for example, Muslims and about Islam, I wouldn't be able to advise or talk about that, but I can share some things which I hope will shed some light on that. So for example, I can use myself as an example. Like I said, culturally, I also grew up in an environment where I wasn't supposed to become successful. I was supposed to be married at the age of 17. That was expected out of me. And, I had a couple of choices. My choice was either to just follow through, which didn't resonate with me because I knew I was created for a bigger purpose. And I didn't think that was what I was created for. And the second option I had was, to choose my path. Now, even choosing your path, I tell you what is the most powerful thing a woman can do to embrace her power. The most powerful thing a woman can do to embrace her power is not to go against. I think the mistake we make sometimes is we go against. Rather than going against, I think we need to educate. We need to educate. So in my case, my dad, he wasn't really supportive. He wasn't very opposed either, but he never had a daughter who wanted to get educated, that too overseas, I would spend a lot of time sitting with him and reasoning with him. And every now and then, whatever answers he gave, I wouldn't know what to say, but I would go back and I'd come back with an answer again. And so it's not, I think sometimes we rebel. And when we rebel and we raise our voice and we get upset and we get defensive, people are not hearing us.
Okay.
And so it's very important for us to embrace our power, not by rebelling, but by really understanding who we are, embracing our own self-worth, and communicating in a way which is the way we want to be heard. I think that's very, very important.
Okay, I want to know also about the book you wrote, Ignite Your Life Conscious
Leaders.
for Leaders.
Yeah.
Does
So
it-
yeah, that is a that book is actually a bestseller in international bestseller in like 9 or 10 countries, and I'm one of 30 authors in that book. So there are like 30 of us who wrote, and in that book we just all wrote our you know, our own story about what it is that why we are so passionate about leadership and how we decided to embrace our own power as leaders. And so yeah, it's just I wrote one chapter in that book.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Meena.
No problem.
Okay. Also, I would like to ask about tradition. About some traditions which hinders women to participate in leadership. Yeah, traditions, African traditions, there's some even African tradition. I don't know about European tradition, but here we see this is a very hindrance the women to become leaders. They are not accepted as leaders. This patriarch system,
yeah,
it's dominating in most of African traditions.
Yeah.
Which women not to they lack confidence. They don't like to, they I mean they lose confidence. And when they want to participate, then men are just prohibit them to do that.
Yeah.
So how do you how can you advise somebody who wants to become leader but it just hinders with that patriarch system in
Yeah.
her?
It's a really good question because you know, first and foremost, we also have to understand it's not an overnight process.
Yes.
Rome wasn't built in a day. Having said that, I'll tell you the other extreme. You know, sometimes when think about this, there are 7.5 billion people in the world, and it serves the world to have everyone follow the same rules, because when everyone follows the rules, it's easier to run and govern the world. And that's why it serves societies, it serves communities, it serves tradition to have women follow the same rules, all women to be the same, so it's easier to control and manage women, right? So we as women need to understand the psychology as to why we as women are constantly told that we should follow the rules, follow the rules, follow the rules, because we are expected to be controlled and we expected to be part of like something where it's a cookie cutter approach. If we want to become leaders and we really believe that we were created to step into that leadership position, this is what I would say. I would say the first thing you need to do is trust the voice that you hear in your head more than the voice of the outside world, because the world will tell you again and again and again and again that you should not. And there will only be a very tiny voice in your head that will tell you that you should. And so the first thing I will tell you is trust your inner voice. We have a very strong intuition, and if we have that voice, we need to trust that voice. That's one. The second thing is never ever disqualify yourself or give up before you try, because think about this, right? If you look at Mahatma Gandhi, he was able to make 200 million people move in unison, right? And to fight a war peacefully, which was unheard of. It has never happened. And he was a guy who was not politically connected. He was a guy who wore like very humble clothing. He was somebody who believed in nonviolence. Why is it that 200 million people were able to move to one voice and able to work on one heartbeat? Why? Because they believed in his vision. And so if we want to achieve something, we need to first and foremost believe in our own vision. And the world will tell us otherwise, but we cannot allow the outside voice to overtake what we believe.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what about working on Where Do Global?
Sorry?
Where Do Global?
Yeah, what about We Do Global?
Yes, Where Do Global?
I didn't get you. What was your question?
About experience of doing Where Do Global.
Okay. We Do Global is actually a nonprofit, and they are they basically put together people who are mentors like myself, and then women who are starting out their journey either as leaders or you know, becoming or entrepreneurs, and so they put mentees and mentors together, and so I am one of the mentors for them, and I help mentor women. So that's what I do for We Do Global.
So is anyone join or
Join what?
join to, I mean, anyone is allowed to join that Where Do
I think
Global?
there is an application process. There is an application process, and there is a whole yeah, I'm not really sure what the criteria is, but I think they have to fit into certain criteria. They get interviewed and then accepted.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, I've heard about this one. Sometimes all it takes is one decision to change your life. You wrote it.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you speak a little bit about it?
Yeah. So, for example, when I was 12 years old, I remember being asked, "What do I want to be when I grow up?"
Yep.
And I said that I wanted to be a lawyer. And the reason I wanted to be a lawyer was because my mom used to watch Bollywood movies. And I remember watching a Bollywood movie and seeing an actress, and she was a lawyer. And I didn't understand what a lawyer was. I just saw how she was so confident. And I decided I wanted to be like this woman. And so I said I wanted to be a lawyer. But when I was asked as a kid by my uncle, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "I want to be a lawyer." He laughed at me and said, "Oh, you mean you're going to hang your degree above the stove while you cook for your husband after you become a lawyer?" And even though I wasn't able to speak up, I made a decision. And that was that one decision I made, that I will prove him wrong, because I will not believe what other people tell me. I will trust my own voice. And that was the one decision I made, not to believe what he had to say, but believe in my own purpose. And so then 20 years later, I got qualified in the UK and also in New York as an attorney. And so my point about that one decision is sometimes we just have to be willing to make that one decision, which is completely different from all the other decisions we've ever made, that will take us to a different level in our lives.
What about the WWLC?
Sorry?
WWLC?
Yeah.
Perspectives. About WWLC perspectives.
What about it?
I want to hear about the perspectives of WWLC.
I didn't understand your question. When you say what's the perspective, can you elaborate? What do you mean by that?
How is the impact of WWLC?
Right.
Yeah. Perspective on about those perspectives. What are their impacts?
You're talking about WWLC?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know a lot about WWLC, but from the little I know, I am really amazed about the fact that Ayla has created this amazing, amazing community that is not just from one, it's not just in one country, but it's all over the world, where women have all different backgrounds and different, you know, knowing different cultures, different backgrounds, different levels of experience coming together, leveraging on each other's strength and network, and being able to build women for entrepreneurship. I think that's a very, very powerful thing.
Okay, Meena, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Professor Janet. Can I ask questions, Meena?
Yes, hi Ayla, nice to have you here.
How are you?
Fine.
I want to ask, what is leadership for you? What is leadership?
What a visitor.
I think what's really interesting is that when people talk about leadership, they always think about leading teams, but I think leadership is about self-leadership. And by self-leadership, I mean not just leading yourself, but knowing how to manage your own thought process, knowing how to manage your own triggers, knowing how to manage your timelines, knowing how to manage your own deadlines, your own vision before you can lead other people to do that. That's leadership for me.
And what do you think of today is a Mother Day? What do you think of mother equation of leadership of a person?
You know, I want to tell you a story in relation to that question. I remember visiting a gynecologist a few years ago, and she was a woman, and I was very intrigued. I'm always fascinated by people as to why they do what they do. So I asked her a question, and I said, you know, why did you choose to be a gynecologist? And isn't it a bit boring? I said to her, you know, yeah, basically you're looking up women's private parts. Isn't it a little boring? And her answer literally blew my mind. She said something very powerful. She said, if you created something and then after that, you created the same thing again, which one is a better product? The first or the second? And I said, of course, the second, because the first one is like a prototype then. And she said, women, we were created second. And she said, so God clearly excelled at what we, you know, at creating us. And then the second thing she said was, can you imagine we are living beings? Think about this logically. She said, think about it logically. We are living beings. We carry another life in our body. We carry another life. And when we give birth, we bleed to almost like to bleed to death, but we don't die. We give birth. And then this little baby turns out to be so massive, and some of them end up becoming much bigger than their mothers. And can you even fathom the idea that another life was created from a mother's womb? And you know, her answer literally blew my mind. It made me realize that we are so used to seeing pregnancies, so used to seeing childbirths, that we almost lose the wonder behind what strength is required of a woman to actually create another life. And so back to your question about leadership, I think there can't be a better leader than a mother, because she doesn't just take care of her kids. She actually gave birth, and she gave, you know, she brought that child into creation.
Wow, thank you. Amazing answer. I have goosebumps.
Yeah, when I heard that answer, I was like, oh my God, it just gave me a completely different perspective, especially when she said to me, just think how much a woman bleeds when she gives birth, you know? And my mom has 8 kids, and I'm like, how in the world did you even do this, you know? I think women, even if we don't have kids, we have natural tendency to be very motherly, very nurturing. And so I think that's such a beautiful thing that God has created men and women so different. And I think we would live in a much better world when we as women don't try to compete with men, but when we actually embrace who we are, and we collaborate and co-elevate. I think that would be such a beautiful world, instead of us trying to be like men, or for men to expect us to be more like them, because we are not.
Maybe any more questions from the floor? It's very interesting, yeah, because I think that as a woman, we should take that leadership, you know, like
Agree.
we should fight for it, you know, like we should prove that we can be equal. We are equal.
We are.
There is no, that's why I don't like when people say gender equality. There is no gender equality. We are equally, you know, we're equally, you know, you can be a businesswoman, you take a role of a businesswoman just like man, you could be a lawyer, it should be equal, you know, but how to take this opportunity of the woman to the next level and try to create this strong connection in between that make you know, I believe that power, it's you are powerful because you give, you know, like if you take, yes, you are powerful, but when you give, you are more powerful. I think.
I agree. I completely agree. When you teach people how to succeed as well, I think that's such a beautiful thing, because I am a firm believer in building an empire, but I really believe that you should first and foremost focus on building a legacy, and the empire will follow. And, you know, women, in order for women to mark their success and mark that territory, I think first and foremost, we as women need to stick together, and we need to really not compete, but really push each other to go up, rather than, you know, pushing each other to go down. That's one. And second thing also is, make it a norm for women to be successful, not expect women to just go and take, you know, domesticated roles. In my previous role, for example, I was at a board level, and every time we had like board meetings, my CEO or like another person would just look at me, or we were only 3 women. We were like, I think like 9 men and 3 women. And every time there was a board meeting or something, they would look at one of the other women and say, take notes. And so once I spoke up and I said, and because that woman was not there, and they looked at me and said, can you take notes? I said, no. And why should I take notes? Why can't one of the other guys take notes? Oh no, because as women you are better. I said, no, we are only better because we actually were given that responsibility. But it doesn't mean taking notes. How hard is it for somebody to take notes, you know? And I think sometimes it just requires us to really have the confidence to speak. And the confidence will only come when we really, really trust our own intuition and our voice, because we get silenced so much by the outside voices and other people.
Interesting. Any question from the floor? I see Princess Debbie, I see President Chase, I see Paris, I see the trustee, Madam Alice, and I see Anna. Nasrin, thank you for joining. Any more questions for our amazing Meena, Princess Debbie?
Yes, President. Good afternoon and happy Mother's Day. If you can see here today, I am with the ordinary virtuous woman. We are launching a book here in South Africa, and you've got a present, President Ayla, the present from a Professor Malibona Matsoso. You know, Malibona, she did speak to us. Here is your present. She wrote about a woman with a virtuous woman. And you know where you get the virtuous woman. That is about leadership. I'm here with Mama here. You remember her? Mama Naniki Mujapilo. And then I'm also with her daughter, Dr. Maggie Mujapilo. So we are here, Doctor. We are really celebrating women, and then I'm here with Professor Malibona Matsuso, and then even other people here in the room. You can see that we are celebrating Happy Mother's Day. Mothers are natural leaders. And then I'm having other, you can see here in the room. You can see here in the room, this is a celebration that is being organized by women being natural leaders. It is about kindness. It's about love. It's about compassion. It is about forgiveness. That is what we are celebrating. We are celebrating our moms. We are celebrating our sisters. We are celebrating our grannies. We are celebrating our aunts. Happy Mother's Day for us just being here and looking at, this leadership celebration. This is leadership. I thank you. And you've got your present that is being written by Professor Malibona Precious Matsoso for your leadership, President Ayla. Mamu Chapilo, I've got your book with you here. Precious, can you look at Dr. Ayla? Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing, yes, I see President Chase. Congratulations, Princess Debbie. And congratulations for the book, and thank you for remembering WWLC.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hello.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Greetings,
Love
all
and
the beautiful.
light. Yes, President Chase.
Happy Mother's Day to all the women. Dr. Meena, okay, I don't know what the title is, but
Yeah, just Meena. You can call me Meena.
yeah. This was a profound conversation that you shared, profound information. And one thing that stood out is that as women, we should not fight against men. Like when they look at us, we shouldn't fight with them, but we should actually embrace our feminine nature. We should embrace who we are as women. And I believe we can actually go far if we embrace who we are. Not that we are weak, but we are wiser. Let me say that we tend to be wiser, and as you said, we are intuitive. So we should use our nature, the nature that God put in us, to just take up the whole world, to just, how we are as women is, men like fighting.
Yes.
For us, we can win a battle in a very, I don't want to say sneaky, but in a very wise manner.
Yeah.
And then
it's feminine power, feminine power versus masculine power.
Yeah.
I mean, if I give you an example, right? I mean, a lot of you are mothers here, and I'm sure you can relate to this example. Let's say you have like a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old throwing a tantrum in a shopping mall, insisting on buying like candies, and he already has too many candies. He or she already has too many candies, and when you end up scolding the child and you end up shouting and shouting and shouting, the child will end up like screaming, and there'll be like a massive meltdown. But if you are used to training the child to understand that when you say no, and you don't have to say no in a very weak way, you can be firm and be feminine, where you just look and you say, no, we're not having this conversation. And we as women, we tend to give away our power by arguing. And I think we dilute our power by doing that. I'll give you another example. I don't know how much you know about Indian weddings, but you know, I remember going to an Indian wedding many years ago, and in Indian weddings, there are like 7 days of celebration. And I went to this one wedding where they had the bartender, and, you know, in Indian weddings, people are always drinking every single day. And, you know, they always make sure everybody's drinking alcohol, everybody gets drunk that night. And so I remember going to a wedding, and the bartender, they actually flew a bartender into Thailand from India. And what the bartender did was he used to carry like almost like a, you could say like a very big jug at the back with like a hose attached. And he would go around trying to like, you know, shove it down people's throat. And it's got a lot of alcohol, and people would be like, oh, no, fight. And then, no, you have to drink it. So a lot of this like battle. And at the end, he manages to shove it down people's throat, because the guy, when he tries to do it, he expects resistance, and the more resistance he expects, the more he does it, and at the end he always gets his way. I noticed that behavior, and I am not somebody who drinks. I mean, I drink casually, but not like that. So when I looked at that, I just decided, and I knew this is all psychology, I decided that if he tries to come after me, I know what I was going to do. So when he came after me and he did this, I just stood there and I said, he did this again. I'm like, not going to do it. I didn't fight. I didn't resist. And he was so used to that pattern of behavior that I interrupted that pattern. And when I interrupted that pattern, he just got confused. I mean, how do you force a person who's not giving you that response? And after a while, he just didn't know what to do, and he walked away. And I think we as women need to learn how to stand our ground without giving power. Look at a tiger. Look at a tiger in the jungle, right?
Yeah.
When a tiger, when an animal comes to a tiger, the tiger just needs to stand. The animal will run away. He doesn't need to do anything. He doesn't need to prove I'm a tiger. He is a tiger. And I think we as women, we have nothing to prove. We already are powerful.
It's true. It's true. It actually gives me the analogy of water. You know, water might seem like it's a very weak thing, because wherever it goes, it actually it takes shape of that thing.
Yeah.
But if you try to hold water in your hand to try to squeeze it, it will just go through.
Very true.
It won't be. So as women, we should also take that thing. But water can actually be strong enough to actually eat up a mountain, if I may say that.
Yes.
Or cause such massive disasters. So it's powerful on its own, although it looks like it can be calm as well.
Exactly.
So that's how I feel like a woman is.
Such a great example. I think like with men, when we say strong, when you use the word strong, you expect like buff and just very alpha female. But I think we as women are so strong. This is the beauty about being a woman. You can manage people without them even realizing you manage them.
True, very true.
You know, and we need to really tap into that feminine energy more. We sometimes put ourselves under unnecessary pressure that we need to be like other men, only to prove we are worthy in the workplace. And I think it's like okay for us. So I'll give you another example. When I was working in my previous job, you know, we had a client, and because I work for an internet provider, and we had a corporate client. We had issues with the internet, and the corporate client was very upset. And my CEO cracked a joke. He cracked a joke. And, you know, my role in that company, I was negotiating all the television deals, and I was head of television. And so I had nothing to do with the internet. But when this was brought up in the board level, that the corporate client was very upset because we had issues with the internet, my CEO, just as a joke, turned around and said, we should send Meena in a miniskirt and high heels. And I tell you, that would trigger so many women, and everybody will be standing up saying my right and equality, which I think is bullshit. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I think I don't need to say anything to prove it. All I did was I looked at him and I said, sure, I can. Not part of my job description, but if I do, are you going to give me a bonus? And everybody cracked up, because, you know, I think it's so important for us not to always play this role of like, I need to be respected. I need to do, you can manage people without them even realizing you actually manage them.
Indeed. That's profound. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Anna, do you have a question or a comment? I see your video is on.
Yes, of course. Would be a really great pleasure. But just first to Meena, thank you very, very much for the inspiration and so many things I can relate to. It so much resonates because I think I agree that leader is someone who makes others better with their presence. It's not the position of power. It is the force of nature that we all have. And my question to you is how do you deal with criticism if you ever receive any? Because we women, when we do something extraordinary like you do, and like most of us are, it's not always approved by society, other people, and mostly even we understand that the criticism comes from people who accomplished nothing, because for them it's easier to criticize if you achieved something and made a mistake. It's just, that's how they feel better about themselves. But still, we're sensitive, we're sometimes vulnerable. And if you can share what gives you the strength to continue this amazing work that you're doing despite of not being approved or hearing some negative comments that may come out of envy, but still. If you anything, and greetings from
I love the question. Thank you for asking that question. I can shed some light, and I'm very sure after I tell you this, it'll make your life a lot easier when you get criticized. So the first thing is, you know, first and foremost, we really have to be much more in tune with who we are and our power and our energy and our source of strength. So, for example, right, if you were the ruler of a country, and some person comes along, a stranger comes along and says to you that you're a nobody, do you need to prove that you're ruler? You don't.
Of course not.
You'd just be laughing and say, you're such a petty person. Do you even know what you're talking about? And ignore the person, right? And so that why does a king or a queen not need to prove that they are the queen? It's because they know they're the queen. I don't need to prove to you I'm the queen. If you have a problem with that and you don't think I'm a queen, sorry, do your homework. I'm not going to waste my time. So first and foremost is really being more in tune with your power, knowing that you already are powerful. And like I said, you know, a lot of us, we are trained for 20, 30, 40, 50 years to believe everything other people tell us about who we are. And we allow other people's projection of who we are to become our truth. And that's not our truth. Our truth is knowing who we are. You know, that's one. Second is, I am a very firm believer that he who triggers you controls you. If you allow anybody to piss you off, whether it's a waiter because he brought the wrong drink, or somebody who said something nasty to you, or your husband who said you're not looking nice, anybody who manages to trigger you, this is how I visualize me handing my power over to them. I always wake up in the morning for my heart full of gratitude, and I really focus on just being present. And through the day, if there is anything that goes wrong, I make a mental note and tell myself, that's okay. How do I find a blessing in this? And so rather than just allowing things to be triggered, I actually focus on what are the things I'm grateful for. So that really helps me be very centered and become very aware of my own strength, my own power, my own journey, because I am here. I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience. And if I'm here as having a physical experience, I'm here for my own physical evolution and spiritual evolution, which means that anyone who comes my way to trigger me or say something mean or whatever, it's just supposed to teach me to be better, you know? And so I don't take what they say as a literal truth. I just take what they say and think about it from, okay, is there any truth to what they're saying? without projecting my own fears in it, because I'm very objective, I look at what they're saying and say, okay, is there any truth? No. Then what about them are they projecting on me? Because sometimes people have their own fear. So I'll give you an example. Also in my previous role, my colleague, I was negotiating one of the biggest deals. It was a multi-million-dollar deal, and I negotiated the most unprecedented deal, because usually every time we negotiate a deal, it would just be a renewal, and we would just increase the price. But I made a decision that I was going to reduce the price. And of course, even though my company were very happy and my CEO and my president director were very happy, but my peers didn't like it because they thought I was putting the company at risk, even though I had done my homework. And because people want you to follow the script in life. People want you to just do exactly what has been done before. You try to deviate, you will get a lot of opposition. Like women, right? People are not used to celebrating us being successful. So you try to deviate, people try to pull you down. And I had the same thing. I always, in this particular instance, he actually insulted me in front of everybody, saying that I was putting the company at risk. He didn't trust my decision, all of that. I made a decision long time ago, since I was a kid, that if anyone ever underestimates me, instead of being upset or being triggered, I'm going to use that fuel to my fire. I'm going to use that to get me to a different level. So the more he said that to me, the more I said, oh, I love this. I am so going to prove it to you. Without telling him anything, I just kept quiet, And I did. I proved it to him. I closed that deal. And at the end, he came to me and apologized for underestimating me. And I just looked at him. I said, I told you this, that I would close it. And I told you that I've had this many times before where people underestimate me, only because I try and overachieve what everyone else has done. So, So in a nutshell, I'll just summarize what I said. First and foremost, know who you are. Don't allow other people to dictate who you are. Validate yourself. Second, remember you're a spiritual being having a physical experience. Anyone who comes your way to criticize you, look at it objectively and see whether this is something that you need to take on board as a, as something to improve yourself without taking the judgment. If not, just extend compassion to see what about them and their limitations are they projecting on you. And third, if you feel you want to be triggered, remember he who triggers you controls you. And fourth, anyone who tries to underestimate you, don't respond. Show them what you're capable of.
Wow, that's brilliant and very, very powerful. I think I'm going to rewatch this again in recording to just really, really sink in.
Yeah.
So thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Not just for me, for all women. That's exactly what we need to hear every single day. And I'm just thank you so much for all the work you're doing. It's just so a difference in the world.
I tell you, I love seeing women be able to just conquer their demons. I love being able to see women embrace their power. I love being able to see women succeed at a different level, because when I see that happening, I decided long ago that I was going to be the role model I never had, so that I could pave the way for other women. And so for me, that's very important to see other women succeed, because we're here only temporarily. And for me, it's very important to leave a legacy that outlives me.
So true. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Beautiful.
Any more questions from the floor?
Well, I think my name is Paris Kigo from Kenya. Mine to Meena is to appreciate one, you demystified what leadership is. And I think I would maybe at the end, you also repeat what you really said about what leadership is. It's really demystifying what leadership is, and especially in the woman world. Thank you very much again for elaborating and telling us what to do, because I've realized that most of us have gone online. There's a lot of bullying, and sometimes dreams are killed. And as women, there's a way we are looked at all across. when you want to do something differently above what others have done, you are looked down, and sometimes it's online, you are bullied left, right, and center. And I think that posture you have told us is what to carry, so that we don't kill our dreams because of what other people say or how they criticize negatively.
Yes.
Thank you.
My pleasure. If anyone needs to contact me, you can check out my website, strongandshine.com, and you can connect with me through that website, or you can email me, meena@strongandshine.com. So feel free to let me know if you have any questions as well after this.
No more questions. Thank you, Meena. It's been a pleasure to have you tonight. You know,
Thank
it's
you for
in a
having
special
me.
day of Mother Day.
Thank you for having me.
It's a beautiful day with an amazing woman like you.
Thank you, Ayla, for this. Thank you for this WWLC.
Yes, I don't know.
You're doing such an amazing thing, you know, bringing women together from all over the world and helping women keep their dreams alive and teaching women more as they elevate. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yes, it's not me, it's us. Yes, it's not me. Every week we go to conference, everybody is putting also their, you know, we are doing it together.
Yeah.
Everybody that participate tonight.
Yeah.
Nadia, I will see you soon, Meena. Yes,
Yes.
I'm in Indonesia, but only for 1 month.
Yes, I'm in Bali right now, Ayla.
Again, but I hope to see you.
I'm in Bali right now. I would love to see you definitely before you leave.
Wow. Yes, yes, yes. Nadia, can you have the our song?
We are the woman leading change, leading change. We are the woman leading change, leading change. We are the woman leading change, leading change. We are the woman leading change for our people, for our countries, for everyone in the world. Love, peace, needed in this world. Endurance, needed in this world. Forgiveness, needed in this world. Unity, needed in this world. Yes, African woman leading change. Antarctican woman leading change. Yes, Asia woman leading change. Yes, Australia woman leading change. Yes, Europe woman leading change. Yes, North America. Yes, South America woman leading change. Kalirato fella, Kalirato fella, woman leading change. Kalitabo fella, Kalitabo fella, woman leading change. Gotando pella, Gotando pella, woman leading change. Yes, Indonesia. Yes, Ayla. Yes, Ayla. Woman leading change. Yes, Indonesia. We thank you. World woman leading change.
Thank you. Nadia, can you turn off the live?
Thank you kindly for a wonderful session, Meena, President Ayla, and everybody.
Don't leave yet. Yeah, I have an announcement to make because there is a conference in July in Monaco where Prince Albert and Prince Michael from Liechtenstein and also maybe perhaps Queen Elizabeth will also attend. So they actually give a platform for us to have the woman panel. So this is very important that I want to showcase my woman because it's called the CC Forum. It's actually joined together between our president in Germany, Anna Stuckert, and Max. Max is a founder of CC Forum. We are going to elaborate with Max. We're gonna create what is C Forum. Nadia, can you turn off the live? Because I need to know, Nadia, can you turn the live? Yes, Nadia.
Yeah.
Bisa turn off live-nya?